Dharampur village lay nestled in the green folds of the hills. Small mud houses with thatched roofs dotted the landscape. Smoke curled from chimneys in the early mornings. The air was fresh. It smelled of damp earth and wildflowers. Life here moved slowly, like the bullock carts on dusty paths. The seasons painted the village in different colors: green in the monsoon, golden when the crops were ripe, brown and quiet in the dry months. It was a peaceful place, a haven. The farmers of Dharampur loved their land. They knew its secrets. Their hands were rough from years of toil. They woke before the sun. They worked till dusk. Their songs mixed with the sounds of the fields. They used wooden ploughs pulled by sturdy oxen. Their fathers and grandfathers had farmed this way. The knowledge passed down through generations. It was a sacred trust. This land fed them. This land was their life. The monsoon was the village's breath. Everyone waited for the first rains. The smell of wet earth was a promise. Dark clouds gathered over the hills. Then the rain would fall, sometimes gently, sometimes in a torrent. It filled the wells and ponds, it made the rivers sing. The fields drank deeply, the seeds sprouted, green shoots pushed through the soil. The monsoon meant life, it meant food, it meant joy. Old Grandma Leela sat on her porch. She watched the children play. Her eyes held many monsoons. She remembered days of plenty, when the rains came on time, when the harvests were always good. She told stories of those days. Her voice was soft, like the rustling leaves. She worried about the changing times, but she held on to her faith, faith in the land, faith in the people of Dharampur. She hoped for good days again. Then the monsoons began to change. They became unpredictable, like a moody friend. Some years the rains were too little. The sun beat down fiercely. The earth cracked open, thirsty. The wells ran dry. The crops withered in the fields. The vibrant green turned to a harsh brown. Farmers looked at the sky with anxious eyes. They prayed for just a few drops, but often the clouds remained distant, or they passed by without a tear. Other years the rains were too much. They came with great anger. Dark, heavy clouds burst suddenly. Rivers swelled and flooded the fields. Young plants were washed away. Homes near the river were threatened. The deluge brought a different kind of sorrow. It was a struggle to save what they could. The balance was lost. The gentle rhythm of the seasons was broken. The farmers felt a deep unease growing. Their ancient knowledge seemed insufficient now. This uncertainty pushed Dharampur to a quiet despair. The harvest became smaller, debts began to grow. The laughter in the village square faded. Young men started to look towards the cities. They heard stories of jobs and money. The pull of urban life was strong. One by one, they packed their bags, they left their ancestral lands, they sought a different future, a future away from the unpredictable skies. The village paths grew quieter. The elders watched this with heavy hearts. They saw their homes emptying. They saw the fields tended by fewer hands. Grandfather Ramesh often sighed. He missed the songs of the young men in the fields. He worried about who would carry on, who would speak to the land, who would understand the language of the soil. The traditions felt fragile. The future of Dharampur seemed shrouded in mist, a mist of doubt and fading hope. One summer, Meera returned to Dharampur. She was Grandma Leela's granddaughter. She had gone to the city to study. She learned about new ways of farming, ways that could help the earth. She came back with bright eyes and a heart full of hope for her village. She saw the struggling fields. She felt the worry in the air. She remembered the stories of bountiful pasts. She wanted to bring those days back. Meera walked through the village. She spoke to the farmers. She listened to their troubles. She understood their deep connection to the land. She also saw their weariness. The erratic monsoons had taken a toll. The chemical fertilizers, once promised as a boon, now seemed to harm the soil more. She knew change was needed, but it had to be gentle. It had to respect their wisdom. She wanted to blend the old with the new. At first the elders were hesitant. Her ideas sounded strange. Organic farming, water conservation. They'd always relied on the rains and the ways of their ancestors. Some shook their heads. They thought her city learning was not for their village. The land knows what it needs, one old farmer said. These newfangled ideas might anger the spirits. They were afraid of more failures. Their trust was a fragile thing now, but Meera was patient. She did not argue. She smiled gently. She spent time with Grandma Leela. She learned the old songs of the harvest. She showed respect for their traditions. She explained her ideas slowly. She spoke of working with nature, not against it. She talked about healing the soil, making it strong again. Her quiet determination began to touch some hearts. A few younger farmers listened with growing interest. They saw the sincerity in her eyes. Section 4, Planting Hope Drop by Drop. Meera decided to start small. She chose her family's own patch of land, a piece of land tired from years of struggle. With her grandfather's cautious permission, she began her work. She stopped using chemical fertilizers. Instead, she made rich compost from kitchen waste and cow dung. She planted traditional seeds that were suited to their soil. She showed how to make natural pest repellents using neem leaves and other local plants. It was hard work under the sun. She spoke softly to the earth as she worked. She explained the benefits of organic farming, how it made the soil healthy and alive, how it kept the water clean. It would mean less money spent on costly chemicals. It would mean healthier food for their families. She emphasized that it was a return to older, wiser ways that their great-grandparents might have known. Before the world outside brought quick fixes that often created longer problems for the land, Meera also focused on saving water. Every drop was precious. She showed the villagers how to build small check dams using simple stones and earth. These little dams would slow down the rainwater. They would let it seep into the ground, recharging the wells. She helped clear old village ponds that had been neglected for years. Soon they began to hold water again, water that could be used when the rains were sparse. Slowly, a few curious villagers started to watch her. They saw her dedication. They saw the small changes on her plot. The soil looked darker, richer. The plants seemed healthier. When the first small harvest came from her organic plot, it was a quiet victory. The vegetables were tasty. They fetched a good price in the nearby market. A little spark of interest ignited. Maybe this young woman's ideas were not so strange after all. Hope, like a tiny seed, began to sprout. And Section 5. The Monsoon's New Song. The next season, a few more families joined Meera. They tried organic methods on small parts of their land. They helped build more check dams. They learned about crop rotation. They shared seeds and knowledge. Meera was always there to guide them. Her gentle encouragement made a difference. The village began to work together. A new energy flowed through Dharampur. The sound of tools was now mixed with cautious optimism. It was a slow, steady change, and then the monsoon arrived. It was still unpredictable, but Dharampur was better prepared. The conserved water helped during dry spells. The healthy soil held moisture longer. The crops were more resilient. The harvest that year was better than it had been in a long time. There was food on every table. There was a surplus to sell. The jingle of coins returned to the village. Smiles appeared on weathered faces. The children's laughter sounded brighter. The transformation of Dharampur was visible. The fields were greener. The air felt cleaner. The birdsong seemed louder. Some of the young men who had left for the cities heard the news. A few decided to return. They saw a future in their own village again, a future where they could work with the land, not be defeated by it. They brought new energy and ideas. They helped expand the sustainable practices. The village was slowly healing. Dharampur had found its strength again. The last monsoon of deep despair was truly over. The village had learned to adapt. They blended the wisdom of their ancestors with new knowledge. They understood that resilience was not just about enduring. It was about learning and growing. Hope had returned to Dharampur. It flowed like the clear water in their revived streams. The monsoon still came, but now Dharampur danced to its rhythm with renewed confidence. The future looked green.